In today's episode, we have Daniel Walter Scott from Bring Your Own Laptop and InstructorHQ, who's going to share with you how he has generated multiple income streams with online courses. You will also get to hear his early failures and successes with his business, how he has dominated YouTube with one unique strategy, and information on his own online course platform and why you should sign up for it today. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Online Course Igniter podcast, where you'll hear from successful course creators and how they were able to turn their passion into a thriving online business empire. Hello, everyone. Thanks for checking out the podcast today. We have Daniel Walter Scott from Bring Your Own Laptop and InstructorHQ. How's it going today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah, very excited to have you. You have been in the online course space for quite a while. I've seen you very intimately because we have similar courses. So
yeah, exactly. We compete in lots of things, don't we, Jeremy?
Yeah, I like it. It's awesome. And then you've gone on to also teach and help other course creators with some of your own information and software that you have. So we'll dive right into that. But let's start at the beginning. How did you get into online courses to begin with?
My journey kind of started as I'm a designer, kind of that's what I went to university for. And kind of during my degree, one of my tutors said, "Hey, you're pretty good at the software stuff. I'm really bad at it. Can you teach the rest of the class?" So it's kind of awkward, but kind of started helping people and then started running the night classes at the university, kind of like, so I started teaching that way. And then in and out of working as a designer, then kind of back to a bit of teaching and then back to being a designer. And eventually I started working for someone else teaching more, instead of at university, teaching Adobe products at a more kind of, kind of to professionals. So it was kind of like commercial kind. People would turn up for a 2-day class, intensive workshop. I did that in London for a company called Academy Class for a long time. Then I moved back to New Zealand, where I'm from. And there I opened my own version of that, like an Adobe certified training center that still runs. And that's with like live classes. So, people turn up. They're turning up not right now, but soon in about a couple of hours, New Zealand will be awake and people will be turning up for an in-person class. So I kind of own that. And then I moved to Ireland and I either was going to redo that, like the same sort of like traditional classroom, people turned up at the door, or try online. And I tried both. I kind of started an Adobe certified training school here in Ireland and started doing online courses. And online courses took off. So I closed up shop for the online, for the kind of more traditional classes, and then started doing online. And that wasn't that long ago. And you introduced me like Dan's been doing it for a long time, but I don't know, how long time is it a short time? How long time? Like you were there before me, and my long time is about 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah. In the technological era, 5 years is a very long time.
Okay,
it sure does.
I'm 3 Macs old. Yeah, it's like three Macintosh computer laptops old.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to hear your story coming from a teaching background, because a lot of instructors come at it from different ways, but it sounds like you already had an established way of teaching in person, which I think is really beneficial because you get that one-on-one contact with people.
Yeah, it's really hard with no feedback, right? When you're kind of talking to your screen like, "Hey, you guys should do this." And you have whereas I can kind of pretend I'm in the class and have a lot of experience with the kinds of questions that come up or the kinds of funny looks I get from people. So I got to practice quite a long time in person before I started doing online, which I think, was a bit beneficial.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you heard about online courses, and so you decided to just throw a course up. Where did you start?
So my first course was more content marketing. So I had no concept, like I didn't really want to get into online courses. What I wanted to do was promote my like physical classroom. So I opened another company in Sydney, Australia. So I was like going to branch out of New Zealand and go to Australia. And I thought my first course is going to help promote through backlinks and kind of normal, search engine optimization. I was going to create this free online course so that people would see it and come to the, I'd get good backlinks and Google would rank this physical, classroom that I had better. And I did it, and it didn't help my physical. That business closed. That didn't do terribly well, but the actual course did well. And that gave me my first inkling. And then I started making really random courses that nobody wanted to get started. And that was my I'm actually going to try this full time, move to Ireland. I'm going to start this new business and I'm going to make courses. And I just started making really obscure ones that I've since closed.
Now, were those on Udemy or Skillshare? Where were the first courses at?
I stuck them everywhere. My own site. I always started off with my own site.
Okay.
And yeah, there were Udemy and Skillshare. I think, did I take it down off Skillshare? Yeah, I think those three were right from the beginning.
Yeah, because you ranked very quickly and very well. The production of your courses, I think, was very high, especially to other courses out there. And it seemed like people were very drawn to you right away. You had great cover images, and you had just your production quality was up there. So, how did you learn that stuff? How had you been? I mean, you come from an Adobe background, so you already had a little bit of experience, but did it come naturally creating a course when you first did it, or did you have to go through some trials and tribulations?
It was pretty hard, but not as hard as somebody that didn't, coming from a design background, as you know, does make creating graphics and things a lot easier. And I had the benefit of teaching in person before, so that's a big leg up. But I had to do what everyone else did, download free software, find out the free software wasn't very good, try and do this, try and do that, get too close to the camera. I talked into the back of the microphone for my first class, and it's the same microphone I got now, and it sounds good now, but I was talking to the wrong side of it. I didn't realize it was directional. I went through all the pain of just awkward. I spent most of my time cutting out ums and ahs. And it's funny, it seems like an easy transition. And if you're out there going, oh, it's easy. He went from live teaching to, online, creation. It's not an easy transition, talking to nobody and just hitting the record button, man, you just get crazy stage fright. There's nobody with you, but you're it was easier doing live classroom where I had sometimes talking in front of thousands of people was easier than it was hitting, let's say it was just as bad hitting record at home by myself, where I could stop and redo it. Yeah, so it was easier probably than some people, but definitely not instant smooth transition.
Well, that's good to hear, because I think that's important for people, when you're just starting out and you see instructors who've had really major success. It's nice to know that it wasn't smooth going all the time in the beginning.
I'd love to show some of the stuff that I did first. Go to my YouTube channel if you are thinking if you've seen any of my later courses, just do A/B test. Go to my YouTube, look at the oldest video I've got, and it's, "Hi, my name is Daniel. I am trying not to read off the screen." And it sounds like I'm in the toilet, it was bad. And you do get better at people ask me all the time, how do you do it? And you're like, I'm not sure. It's every video I do is a teeny tiny bit better than the last one. And I bet you I'll look back in 5 years from now and look at my courses that I'm producing right now and shake my head and be embarrassed by them.
That's cool. I'll save this podcast episode in 5 years. I'll set a reminder to play it back for you. Well, cool. So you were doing some obscure courses and, maybe some hit or misses. What was the first course that really took off for you, where you realized wow, I actually have something here. This could be something big?
So there was kind of two phases. There was one where it was a web design course using Dreamweaver, and that did well. Mainly on it's quite an obscure software, old Dreamweaver. Not a lot of people use it, but it did well mainly because it did well on YouTube, and that was pushing people to my courses. So I'm not sure it did well on the platforms, but it did well out there in the wild of YouTube. And where I struck success in terms of financial success, as in it started paying back at least the time I put into it, was when I started getting into the more, I was scared of doing top ticket, very popular software and topics, because I felt like they were already done. I didn't touch Photoshop or Illustrator, or InDesign was my kind of big, massive first start. I didn't want to touch it because there was already like pages and pages of InDesign courses on Udemy. I'm like, what? So I was picking really strange ones, trying to find this like weird little niche. As soon as I did InDesign like Essentials, and it did really well, I was like, you don't have to avoid what other people are doing. It doesn't even have to be better than other people. It just has to be your style. And that's what I finally learned is like, there are people out there who will hate my courses, and go to somebody else's. And there are people that love my courses and can't understand why people are going the other place. There's just, I think the nice thing about online is people can do 4 or 5 courses, and the keen ones do. They'll go through and go, oh man, I found your one, it's great. Or, hey, the one I did before yours was way better. And you're like, yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Awesome.
InDesign was my first kind of like commercial success, if you will.
And then you hit the ground running after that. You realized.
Then I was like, I'll do another one that's in the Illustrator, and then Photoshop, and then XD and After Effects and Premiere. Like, just started doing the ones that seemed like it was already saturated, and there turns out to be a space for me in all those places.
And then Jeremy starts saying to himself, man, this guy is really up and coming. I need to look out. No, it was awesome, man. Just because, like I said, I've watched some of your courses and you put out some really good stuff. So it was cool to see that trajectory. So you started having, some good success on Skillshare and Udemy and these other platforms. And you said you were always putting courses on your own site also?
Yeah. So I've always kind of done I've actually got courses on everything. I've probably now, though, I'm a bit more selective of where they go, but at the beginning, stuck them everywhere. I didn't know what were the good ones. I feel like if you are following all the, forums now and kind of using your services, like you can kind of shortcut that. But I found at the beginning, everyone was kind of learning, about where the kind of marketplaces were and which was good and which was bad. Now there seems like a really good dialogue to go, hey, this people have emailed me 20 times to put it on their site. Should I stick it up there? And it's really good to get a really kind of cross section of people rather than having to stick it every bit. Yeah, I was really, really keen to have it on my own site to be able to control at least one part of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So you have some of your courses up on your own site. Were you driving traffic to that site in any particular way? Did you have, a lot of people will have like a lead magnet or a free offer, did you have that kind of set up, or was it just throw something on YouTube and hope someone goes to my website?
Yeah, I went for the throw something on YouTube, hope they go to my website strategy, but a little bit more formalized than that. Well, formalized, a bit more strategic than that. Like I make a course knowing that the first part of it, like the first section or chapter, I'm going to give away free on YouTube. So I record it so that it's a nice, like a product in itself. It can be done. It's not just cutting off somebody halfway through a lesson and going, hey, if you want more, go check out my website. I try and make an outline that has a nice little snippet at the beginning, because it works for people doing the paid course, a nice little high five. We've done it, we've got something actually produced right at the beginning. And also it's something that I can use as my lead magnet, and I use it through YouTube. And that's where 90% of my sales for my own site comes from YouTube stuff saying, hey, I love what you did here. And I always make sure that I add intros, middle tros, and outros to all that YouTube stuff and track it all. And yeah, it's that's the winning formula for me at the moment.
Yeah, that's great. I made that mistake that you were talking about, where I had a full course and I put some of it on YouTube, but I think because there was not a complete program like you're talking about, there was a disconnect there. So I really like that strategy. If you're going to put some of your course for free on YouTube, make sure that it's its own complete package within a bigger course, it sounds like.
Yep. I'm always honest at the beginning, like, hey, this is a small section of my larger course. And then halfway through, I kind of do I put an ad in to say, hey, if you're enjoying it, check out the larger one. And at the end, the same thing again. So I'm not shy about advertising the full course, but I make sure that nobody can walk away saying, hey, he just got us to the end and then I need to go and pay to get the rest of it. It's nice and complete.
All right, very cool. So you've mentioned YouTube a couple of times. It sounds like the majority of your traffic comes from YouTube. Have you tried other areas to get traffic or to make content like a blog, a podcast? Has anything else been successful?
I haven't tried blog or podcast for Bring Your Laptop for the courses. I've tried everything else though. I've tried everything else under the sun, all the advertising on all the platforms, and I haven't had any success. And I guess I wouldn't say YouTube is the only thing. It's what works for me now, and it's the only thing I've come across that works, and it works so well that it's hard to go off and I feel like I've tried lots and I haven't had good success. Social media in general does well, but that's kind of a chicken and egg thing. The social media that people that follow me on Instagram and Facebook group and all those sorts of things are only there because they've done my courses. But it makes it really easy to launch a new course to them. So that's definitely a big way of bringing existing people back into new courses. Whereas at the beginning, that doesn't really work. You can have all the social media accounts, but if nobody knows you're there, it's just really easy in a course to say, "Hey, follow me on your social media," and they do, and then you get to kind of remarket to them.
So, why do you feel like YouTube has been successful?
I don't know. It feels like the maturity of YouTube, and I think what works for me is long format. So instead of doing lots of individual videos, I find a long format video works better for me. People get to know me as an instructor and get a feeling for it. And I feel like those people convert better than the how to mask hair in Photoshop. They'll do it and they'll like it, but you've fulfilled their need. Whereas if you do a bit more of like learn how to do motion graphics, that is a broader topic that people need a lot more kind of instruction behind. And the nice thing about that is if it's a long format, you get to really, get to know them, they get to know you. And if they want to go further, it's a no-brainer, I guess. If you've kind of connected with somebody and you're like, yeah, I like this and I'm going to go learn more. So I find those long format videos are by far I still release singles. Only it's more FOMO than anything. I'm like, oh, maybe I should, I should do those anyway. Like it's like paying for Google Ads. You do it because you're scared you're missing out on something. But So I'm not above shotgunning stuff against the wall to see if it sticks. But really, consistency. It's easy now because I've been doing it a long time to see the long format with a nice complete one for a broader topic do really well on YouTube.
Yeah, that sounds really good because it all comes back to relationship building. It's the people who are going to buy from you are those who trust you and have that relationship. So it sounds like you said, if you do a how-to video, someone just gets the information and then bounces, where otherwise they're spending more time with you building that relationship and can convert better into a student later on. So one of the common questions that comes up when we start talking about this is, how do you decide what you're going to put on YouTube versus what's going to be in the course? I know this is a lot of fear of some people is, I don't want to give away all my good stuff on YouTube. Then I won't be able to sell my course. How do you handle that objection?
I think there's going to be people who only ever want free stuff, and that's fine. What you're looking for is that small percentage. Like the conversion rates are tiny of the people that kind of watch my videos. I've got a lot of subscribers and a lot of the videos are in there. I haven't got anything. I think my biggest video at the moment is 600,000 views, and it's a long format video, and that's a lot. Like most people, that's a lot, but the conversion rate for that is teeny tiny. I might get, I don't know, for one a day or two a day from that video, but that's enough over a month, over a year. And you just need to, I think you need to pay it forward in terms of your audience. Like you need to convince them. It just needs to be long enough for you to convince them your value. If it's 1 minute for whatever you're doing, and you're like, that's all you need to do, I think I need to do further. I feel like I need to go on further to do a nice complete project in whatever the topic is. And sometimes that's a 20-minute video and sometimes that's an hour and a half. I feel like it's more about Yeah, I think you got to worry more about finding that small percentage that really want to go further and over delivering from them, because then they're the ones that are going to convert. There are going to be, hundreds of thousands that won't and never will, because they're not looking to get to know you and go further. They're looking to scratch an itch, and once it's done, they're off. So I got to a point where I was giving away almost half of my course at the beginning. I'm down to I instantly look at 25%. That's my kind of that's my thing. And some of my courses are 15 hours long. So, a couple of the freebies that I give away are a couple of hours, and that's hard. But there's still a chunk more. And those people that I've got to the end, there's very few people that make it all the way to the end, are all the people who want to carry on. And I feel like if I'd cut them to 5 minutes, they were never going, they're not going to go they're not the believers anyway.
Yeah, they're fully committed at that point.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they are. Yep.
I mean, if someone is watching, 3 or 4 hours of your video straight, they are committed to learning whatever it is that you're teaching. And if they've stayed with you for that long, obviously they must like you. So why would they not continue?
Yep.
Hello, course creators. Are you struggling with marketing and selling your online course? If so, then head over to our free community where successful course creators are ready to help you create, market, and sell your expertise. Go to onlinecourseigniter.com/community now to join. That's onlinecourseigniter.com/community. So is your strategy still on YouTube? What is your strategy now in present day? Are you driving YouTube traffic to a free course on your own platform? Are you still sending people to Udemy? What does that look like now?
No, so I've never sent anybody to Udemy and Skillshare, like the two big ones. I support that platform on that platform. Like I make sure I answer all the Q&A and I do anything that the platform wants me to do, but I never send anything their way. I send everything to myself, to my own kind of website. And I always go direct for the sell. Like I feel like I've given enough away. Like I don't know if it's because it's never worked for me, or I just don't like the system of the whole drip, jab, jab, right hook, whatever it is. And, I don't, getting them on an email list. My email list is huge and it sucks. It's like 15,000 people, and it works okay, but nowhere near as good as the YouTube videos where, some people get to the end, very few of them, but those very few people are enough to run a great business. So I don't basically just link straight to the course. Hey, here's the rest of that course. Full stop.
Straight to the landing page. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know, because I've heard that strategy work for some and not work for some. So it's good to hear that you are having that success, but maybe it's working good for you. As we talked about, that person is probably ready to continue their education at that point.
Yeah, that's it.
So if you were talking to someone who is just starting out for the first time, and they're listening to this podcast and they hear all the different platforms and they hear different ways that you could do traffic, it sounds like, of course, you would go with YouTube. But would you recommend any of the marketplace platforms like Skillshare or Udemy? Would you recommend just sticking with their own platform, or would you do what you've done and just put it up everywhere and see what works?
It depends what it is. Like, I think you need to look at what your content is. Like, is it low value, high volume? Then Skillshare, Udemy, your own platform. If yours is different and it needs to be a higher value and a more niche, it's B2B, or it's something quite specific for a specific group. And there's not like, I teach Photoshop, which is kind of like the world. It's not the world, but it's a pretty broad software. So I can easily, if you're doing anything that's broad, play piano, I don't know, learn to draw, go full noise everywhere, because I don't know, you don't know which platform is going to do well at the beginning. You can always come off these things. People feel like they're making these big giant commitments. Like even back to where we're talking about YouTube, like how much do we give away? You can take stuff down. If you're like, man, this is not working for me, I hate it, take it down. And, it's not a one-way street, all these decisions. So if you're doing something, what do you call it? Commoditizable. I'm not sure if that's a word. Like if you're doing like me, it's very common, then go to all the platforms. If you're doing something a little bit niche that you need a bit more hand holding, that you do need to do the free course, but the main courses comes with all these extras and it needs to be $500, then I think probably straight to your own platform.
Okay, cool. I really like what you said about it's doesn't have to be concrete. You can take it down at any time because you're absolutely right. You know, we put these courses out there, we put the videos and our blog posts and podcast episodes out there, thinking that once it's up there, it's going to be forever, but it doesn't have to be. So I really like that analogy. So moving forward, what today is working out the best for you? Would you say it's just the YouTube to the landing page, or is there anything else that's going on that you are seeing some major results from?
Probably, I don't know. I don't want to sound big headed, but at my level, I've got to a point now. I got kind of like 30-ish courses, and what's like, rather than just reiterating YouTube works really good for my own stuff, is probably what's happening for me at the moment is I'm starting to get into live, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out, but it's been quite successful. I've started running some live design challenges, so doing something outside of my courses to keep people involved in design and with me and what we're doing, and doing a lot of live stuff. And what's weird that's come out of that is the design challenges are going really well. We're on to our fourth one now, and along with that, doing the live events, it's turned up like this Q&A at the end, and I thought it was going to be Q&A about the challenges. What's ended up happening is people are asking really poignant questions about bigger scope than the software that I'm teaching. They're like, hey, I'm really interested in UX design, and I am 50 and I'm a barista, and can I change over? And those sorts of questions I didn't cover in any of my, I teach software. So I teach design, how to be a UX designer, but not some of the more kind of esoteric questions of like, is this for me? How do I know? Am I too young? What kind of portfolio I need? So all of that stuff's coming out. So watch this space. I don't really know what it's going to become, but it feels like nobody's asking like, oh, hey, what was the trick for, I don't know, lightening teeth. It's always, hey, how do I get my first freelance job? Hey, how do I get paid? How do I send an invoice? So I think that's probably, I have no idea if I answered your question or not.
No,
because otherwise I'm going to say YouTube again.
I think it's brilliant. To me, it comes back to community, because the way that I've always pictured it is the content is great to have because you are kind of putting some things out there that can be evergreen and people can come find you. But I feel like the other important part of the equation is the community, because when you have a community, whether it's a Facebook group, your own community, or like what you say, you're doing live videos and helping and teaching or doing challenges, is you start getting that feedback from people that you might not normally get on a YouTube video or a blog post. They might go in and make a comment, but I feel like these conversations, these Q&As that you're having are super important, because then you can start crafting products and offers and services around those answers.
Totally. Like at the beginning, I made Dreamweaver tutorials, so people wanted more Dreamweaver tutorials, and you're like, that's what people want, so that's what I'm going to give them. And it takes a while and a couple of jumps and a few, holy moly moments to go, all right, I'm going to try this other thing. But these conversations through, like you said, are just, you're like, well, these people want these other things that because if you send out a survey to people that have done my UX course, they want more UX stuff. And these live events have gone, given people a kind of an open, different platform. Yeah. And they've come to me with strange questions that I didn't realize I needed to answer. Yeah.
Yeah. I also love the challenges personally, because I was following a guy who taught Blender, which is a 3D software. And this was years ago. But I just loved his style, and he was Australian and he had a podcast, and I love listening to him. For some reason, that side of the world gets the good accents.
I don't know.
I think that your success actually is just your voice, and maybe the glasses.
Yeah, that's probably
help too.
Anybody in New Zealand or Australia, just make a course. The Americans love us.
Yeah, instant success.
Yeah.
but he did challenges, and I always looked forward to those. And I ended up buying his products and become. And this was well before like Udemy was even around, But he was doing challenges. He would do like a seasonal challenge, and I was terrible at Blender, but I always submitted anyways because it was just fun. People love that stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people buy like multiple. Like Udemy has pretty good data on what people buy, and it's very common. Like more often than not, people will buy one, they'll start it, and then go off on the next kind of like Udemy deal and buy other like lots of other ones. And when you do get to a course, like when you do get to 30 courses, when somebody goes off and buys 10 or 20 of your courses, like it's proper money.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, when you sell your courses on your own platform, or have you done any type of membership or bundling, or do you just sell individual courses?
I only do subscription, so it's $12.95 a month for everything,
Okay.
or annually $84. I leave the kind of bundling to Stack. So that's one thing we didn't mention is Stack Skills or Stack Social, what do you want to call it? Is it's probably my fourth little leg in my online course empire. They do they're like the next step, next kind of income that's worth mentioning. And they do the bundles. I let them do the stacks and stuff. But no, I do subscriptions only on my site.
Okay. And then how are you keeping people subscribed? Are you continually putting out new content?
That's my big problem at the moment. Like I have probably an average subscriber staying for only 4 or 5 months. So that's probably 2020 is my year to kind of address that. And it's basically community. That's what I've come down to. But at the moment it's only writing on the paper. Like I need to actually start it. And I think there's no real reason for you to come to Bring Your Own Laptop to actually subscribe when you could go to and get Skillshare and get all my same courses plus everyone else's. So that's what I want for, like, I'm starting to get it through my Facebook group and through these Q&As, and I just want to make it, I want there to be some sort of benefits for being on Bring Your Own Laptop. At the moment, I've been fishing in everybody's pond to try and figure out if I can make this thing work. And I'll continue supplying Udemy and Skillshare with the kind of more, the packageable classes, but the intangible bits of the Q&A and the portfolio reviews and all that sort of stuff, I want to introduce to Bring Your Own Laptop. And I think that's my hunch, is that's what will make Bring Your Own Laptop pass from that 4 to 5 month subscriber kind of average into, I really enjoy what I do, and I really want people to stay around longer, and I give them no reason to, absolutely none. Done all my courses, you could keep paying me, or you could leave. That's the option. You can pay me for free, or you could leave. That's the only 2 options I've given them. So I need to give them more options.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because that is the issue with memberships, is how do you keep people on longer? So finding ways to increase the value, or like you said, having the community aspect, I think is beneficial for that.
Yeah. It does mean though that the $12.95 becomes on average, $50 or $60 per person, after fees, so it's definitely, it depends on what you're selling your courses for. That you need to look at subscription not just as $12. It's the lifetime of the student, and $60 per student is obviously a lot nicer than the Udemy $2.95 you get,
Yeah, and it seems like with subscriptions, you can kind of guesstimate your percentages a little better of how much you're going to make, because you can,
it's so repeatable. I know exactly next month, probably within about $1,000 of what I'm going to earn, because it's not that fluctuating. 5-month runway is pretty cool. It's, whereas I feel like Udemy must sit there every month and cross their fingers and go run more sales, because it's like, you've probably seen it through your through your earnings. You're just like, some months are amazing and some months aren't. Whereas Skillshare, they're on the subscription model, and my subscriptions just get a little better every single month. They pay out from them because they've got some consistency, and it must be so much easier as a business to bank on consistency than it is from Udemy's roll the dice every month.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even people who launch on their own websites face that issue too. Is you have great months because you do a launch, and then for the next 3 months it's a desert town because there's nothing going out. But the subscription model, is kind of the holy grail. But then it comes with how do you get people to stay on there? So thinking through those is very important. So let's switch over to Instructor HQ before we wrap up, because I know that you went out and started helping other instructors, and I just wanted to hear some more about what you're doing. What is Instructor HQ, and what are you doing with it?
Yeah, so basically, I built my own Teachable / Thinkific just because for myself, just I wanted to do it the way that I felt like it should be done, and both of those other places where you can host your own courses weren't right for me. So yeah, I made Instructor HQ. Basically, I made it for myself, got to a point where it was actually quite sophisticated and was like, all right, let's spin this off into let other instructors use the same platform I host, my own stuff on. And kind of its big perk on top of delivering your courses on your own side is the kind of education behind it. So I love doing things like this with you, Jeremy, helping people find their way in the, getting started mainly. And yeah, so that's Instructor HQ. It's mainly a hosting platform for your own courses, but it's kind of, I guess, perk is the kind of education side, helping people get going.
So when you say the education side, is there educational content included with the program?
Exactly. So you sign up and there's a course to kind of get started, how to, make your first course, how to do an outline, how to get it up on Udemy, those sorts of things. And then on from that, there's a kind of a boot camp where we do things like a bit more live, where we, people can kind of sign up and join us for a regular kind of, instead of doing a video course, doing a let's meet up every second Thursday and be held accountable, and let's actually get something up and out as a community.
Nice. Yeah, and you showed me a early version of it that I got to log in and check out, and I loved it because you come from a design background, so it was very beautiful. Like it's very pleasant to look at. Some of these platforms look like they're from the 1980s.
It does feel like at the moment it's a bit of a boom. Like people are looking at Teachable and Thinkific and Kajabi, and there's a few out there. There's loads out there now, and we're just another one. And I guess we do it well like the rest of them, but our point of difference is it's less of a, it's more of a let's get your first course out and let's show you how to actually do it from somebody who's done it. Yeah, I guess that's our point of difference.
Yeah, it's a cool program.
And it looks nice.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. Do you still have all the analytics and everything inside of it?
Yeah. Yep. So there's a cool instructor dashboard. I use it every single day. Wake up in the morning, check my Skillshare minutes, check Udemy minutes. I check YouTube. Like it pulls in everything from my own site, best courses. Yeah, it's all pretty cool.
So yeah, explain that real quick to everyone listening so they understand.
Yeah. So as part of your subscription, you get a dashboard, and the dashboard, like my one here, you can actually go check out my dashboard. I give away all my stats, how much I earn on all the different platforms free. It's at instructorhq.com/bishop, BISHOP. Bishop is the word name that I called my dashboard. I gave it a name. But if you go there, you can check out my dashboard, and it shows you what I earned this week, this day on Udemy, and what course earned the most, and what my best video on YouTube's doing. And it's just like a dashboard as you imagine, like a tiled dashboard. And it just shows me all in one place, my site, Skillshare, Stack Skills, Stack Social. I kind of just plug everything in it. Some of them's easy to plug in. Some of them I have to manually do, but I just love having a place where I can say, oh, this month I've earned this much. And if you're curious about earnings, you can follow me on that one as well. If you just, I don't know, some people find, I remember following our joint good friend, Phil Ebener. He gave away his data for a long time. I was just like, man, that is super useful to know. And same with, the Pat Flynn's of the world, they gave away showing it all. And that's what I do as well. I try and show people behind the scene, behind the curtain.
Yeah, I followed Pat Flynn's for a long time because it's motivational to see it rise. Because then like, oh, if he can make it rise from this month to
Yep.
this month, I can do that too.
Yep.
I can
Yeah.
I can probably do it better.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
But
Go
no,
see me and see how better you can do. Yep.
but no, I like the Instructor HQ dashboard because I thought that was a cool thing where you could have all these different platforms in one place. Because I'm an analytics type guy myself,
Yeah.
so I love being able to see all the numbers populate
So
and
that's a
see.
big difference. Teachable in Thinkific and the other kind of self-hosting platforms. I don't know. They don't seem to want you to do well on the other places, but I feel like if you're like me and you feel like your courses could be on Udemy and Skillshare, like your income is going to come from multiple places
Mhm.
and not just your own site or not just Udemy. So I that's why I built the dashboard for myself. It's like I want to pull in all these things because at the end of the day, I pay my mortgage with all of these, not just one of them, not just my own site and not just Udemy.
Right, right. That's awesome. Well, thinking back to when you first started, and there's someone out there listening right now to us talk, and if they went and pulled up your dashboard and saw how much money you were making, they're probably like
Yep.
jaw dropped to the floor right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's easy to get up to a high point and kind of forget those early days and how much that struggle was. So, what is one good piece of advice that you can give to someone who is just starting out, or maybe they've launched their course and they're not seeing the success they would like to see? What are some tips, tricks, or any advice that you could give to that beginner person?
So probably the best is that I don't know anybody that had their first course be this like gigantic win unless they come with an audience already kind of pre-sold, and that's out of the scope of most people. So I think it's going to be your fifth course, that you're going to find your voice, you're going to find how to talk to the camera properly. So I think you need to be prepared for the first one earning very little and the second one earning a little bit more, but helping the first one go. And then your third one's going to be a little bit more professional and help the first two. And by the time you get to 5 and 10 and then 30, they're all supporting each other. Like I've got courses that I made 5 years ago that still do well, not because they're particularly great on their own, but because people like me in this latest course assumed the last one was going to be just as good. Go back and do that one. Production level might not be as great, but still, I think it's not a one-hit wonder thing. It's a 5-course, 10-course thing. And that sucks because that's a couple of years' work. And that's what it was for me. So, like, you can do well or at least side hustle well with your first course. If you want to earn a couple of hundred extra bucks, a month, then that's going to work great for you. But if you want to give up your job and become a full-time online instructor, it takes time to find your topics and find your audience and find your own voice and how to talk to that audience. Like I found it just gets easier and easier, and potentially you find a couple of winners. There's a little bit of rolling the dice. Like I got courses that do amazingly well on my site that don't do well on Skillshare and Udemy. And the same thing, I got my big Udemy course does very, very averagely on Skillshare and on my site. Like it's a funny old place to find, like there's no scientific formula to it. You just got to start making them and keep making them.
Awesome. Yeah, that it's weird. It's weird how some courses do better on others, even in the same niche, like
Yep.
design. Like you would think that there'd be some kind of logical explanation for it, but there's not.
Nope.
So Dan, where do you see yourself in the future in the next, 5-10 years? What would you like to accomplish?
So yeah, my big change this year is kind of getting a proper vision together in terms of supporting people outside of just software. And I want Bring Your Laptop to be based around community where people have it not because they've got a course in the queue, but because they find it fulfilling for them kind of becoming a designer, I want to build a community at Bring Your Laptop. That's my 10-year goal.
Awesome. So let's get the community started. Where can people come find you?
So on all the platforms, and Bring Your Own Laptop for the design stuff. And if you want to follow me for InstructorHQ, it's that as well. So it's InstructorHQ on all of them. Just add the @ symbol to them all, and you'll find me.
Awesome. Perfect. Daniel Walter Scott, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. We appreciate all of your wonderful advice, and I just look forward to your success in the future.
Jeremy, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on the show today, Daniel. It's always a pleasure getting to chat and pick your brain. You can find out more about him and his businesses by visiting bringyourownlaptop.com and InstructorHQ.com. Or you can get the show notes of this episode along with links and resources by visiting onlinecourseigniter.com/15. We have another awesome episode next week, so I'll see you then. Thank you for tuning in to the Online Course Igniter podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening so that you don't miss an episode. If you would like to learn more marketing strategies and how to sell your online course, then also check out our free community where we share tips, tricks, and tutorials at onlinecourseigniter.com/community.